Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all ready quick, right fast, maybe with a read. This is part 2 of the 2024 presidential election reading. And for this portion of the video, we're going to be focused on why did the divine realm, the universe, the spirit guides, the archangels, whatever, what have you, why did they allow for this to happen? Why did they allow for the person who was elected this year to be elected? For what? For why? Por qué? Okay? Like, what was the reason? What was the reason? Okay? Now, I ain't gonna waste no more time. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the specificities of these cards. Now, once again, like I said in the first video, I'm gonna get straight to the point because I don't feel a need or desire to linger in this energy too long. And that's also why this series, if you will, is multiple parts. So certain things that are sprinkled in this video may be further elaborated upon in the next, just as things in this video may be further elaborating upon things from the first part of the series, honey. So make sure you caught up. Make sure you caught up, because there will be a playlist available by the time I had this uploaded. So yeah, once again, without further ado, gonna go ahead and get into the specificities of these cards. So child, I asked God, y'all, divine realm, universe, why did y'all allow for that orange colored man to be re-elected this year? Por qué? And straight out the gate, we have. And the first card we have here is the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So the Eight of Pentacles tends to talk about either completely tapping out, dissociating, checking out, or going backwards, falling back into old habits, things of that nature, revelations of old worn out mindsets, just giving old, backwards, and not present in what you're really supposed to be present in. That being said, the message coming through with this card is that the divine realm, spirit, the universe, if you will, is speaking through these cards and me, channeling my gifts and all, that there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place to educate, and a time and a place to let people learn for themselves. There's a time and a place to try to convince people and repeat yourself and say it in different ways and languages. And then there's a time and a place to care enough to shut the up and back the out of it. And that seems to be exactly what Spirit is implementing. They are basically saying that the proof is in the pudding and more will be revealed. But this, God is basically saying that in a way, this ain't got nothing to do with them, because free will consumed the situation. Humans had everything they needed to play a part in their own prosperity, in their own evolution. And certain major parts, a lot of major parts of humanity chose to go backwards. So Spirit is like, ain't nobody's fault but yours, okay? Like, humanity is gonna have to take accountability for these, including people who chose to do nothing, including people who choose to be passive aggressive and silent in their everyday lives, having to take accountability, because God has a bigger plan, okay? Had and has a bigger plan. The plan is still in motion. Humans just decided to screw themselves for half a second. But God is like, they gonna spin the block, but they just need for the collective and certain major people to learn their lesson first. And that is also a part of God's plan, God also be knowing when individuals and the collective or the collective is gonna screw up the church's money. You know what I'm saying? They be knowing, so they be prepared, because God's plan is God's plan. It's gonna always be God's plan, regardless of what humans have cooked up. And that's another reason why it is so important to understand duality, so that you can understand the responsibility of free will. That is choice. Because in circumstances in God's plan, duality still exists. So there's the shadow and there's the higher, right? And both can exist at the same time. One can come before the other, and they can juggle. They can, you know what I'm saying? Up, down, round, around, back it up and dump it down. Hey, you know, it can do all of it. But your choices make or break the situation. So even in this choice, regardless of how you feel about the outcome and how you feel about the people who played the most part in the outcome of the elections, you can still exercise your free will to capitalize off the circumstances and still be the change that you want to see and make the changes that you want to see in your own free will. Everybody got choices. I choose to get money. I stick to this bread. Yeah. And this takes us to the next card. Reevaluate, change your perspective, or fucking quit. And yes, this is a two-sided card, but we're focusing predominantly on the card that, the side that flipped out, which is reevaluate, change your perspective, or fucking quit. Again, all of these are choices. Pick your struggle, pick your peace, okay? If things about the election and the outcome and the state of the world and society and all of that are pulling you in a passionate manner, igniting some sense of passion in you where you feel called to educate yourself further and take action or reevaluate or change your perspective or quit something so that you can begin something else, that is not a coincidence. God's plan is God's plan, regardless of what humans have going on. The difference that makes in what each individual experiences is about what you choose to grasp hold to. Focus more on yourself. Everything is going to work out as it is supposed to work out. And the clearer you get about your passions and your choices and why you're making them, the clearer it'll be as everything is happening and as you allow yourself to experience everything and as more outcomes come into play, it will become more clear to you as to what God's plan is and the everlasting resilience of their plan. And you should allow it to inspire you to take pride and gratitude in your own sense of resilience. Great things are coming. I see that there will be some things that come up that make people feel like, oh, shiitake. What the hell is happening? See, I told y'all, niggas. It's gonna be some things that come up that may seem a bit scary. But definitely don't allow yourself to get wrapped up in that because it needs to come out to be dealt with. You hear them notifications, that is confirmation. That is confirmation. All of that stuff that needs to come out is gonna come out to be dealt with, to be uprooted, and to trigger more people into acting responsibly in their liberation. And more people are bound to gain a greater sense of what life's purpose means, what it means in general, what it means to them, and a greater understanding of how to process the process. The multitude of processes throughout life's process and processes. And that perfectly segues to the next card from the Moon Oracle deck, which is look at the bigger picture. And that is sideways because duality is a heavy thing here. Spirit is saying, look at the bigger picture. Recognize that purpose and the plan, the process is bigger than you. But also don't forget yourself. Don't forget your individuality. And this goes into just because you learn something one way or it takes a certain set of circumstances for you to grasp a concept doesn't mean that it's exactly that way for everybody else or even somebody else. Sometimes you literally are one of a kind and one size does not always fit all. And that's a grand lesson that is coming through with the experience of the outcome of this 2024 election. And I'm hearing that a large part of this too, and all of this is tying into God's plan, God's intent, the why they allow for this to happen as it concerns, my process, my channeling, and the cards that came out from my pool, okay? As it is being channeled, Spirit is saying that it's a part of the plan for this seeming setback and or actual setback to ignite a fire in a lot of people to not just fight for their liberation, but to be liberated, to act in that. Because the thing is, so many more people than ever before have gotten a good taste of liberation and acceptance and pride and high self-esteem, real good solar plexus energy, real good heart chakra energy. And they are not willing to let that go, most certainly not without a fight. And see, one of the good things about that is, and as it's being channeled through me from spirit and these cards and interpretation and channeling and all that, the good thing about this is, too, is that a lot of people are burnt out on the physicality of fighting. So as people are like so frantic about, the possibility of more violence coming into play, and I'm not saying that in certain areas that won't be a thing, okay? But the real work, the real actions that will be taken, and certain strikes I'm hearing that will happen, certain reportings and filings and documentations and just simple exposures and things of that nature that will happen, pressings of charges and all of that. It's a lot of seemingly simple things that will happen are what's going to play the most major role in turning the tide for the better and bringing into fruition what the high vibrational beings would actually have been trying to bring into fruition and have been trying to see in their materialized experience for the collective and not just for themselves. But also definitely wanted to make sure that your star player still benefits. So get into the next card, a time to give rather than take. New moon in Virgo. So the energy that's going on right now and the way that the outcome of the election has had people feeling seems to have a lot of gimme, 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 gimme energy. Feeling like something has been taken from them, and also fearing, having an intense paranoia that something or some things or some people will be taken from them. And this is causing like temptation for people to act out of desperation to want to receive, take, grasp, buy. And Spirit is saying, ground yourself. Make sure that you are steady working on your root chakra and don't get wrapped up in fears. Don't get wrapped up in fears of losing and fears of things being taken from you or people being taken from you or rights being taken from you. Don't get wrapped up in that fear, because if you get wrapped up in that fear, you're going to get wrapped up in the temptation and the desperation from the deprivation, and you are going to send yourself into a series of hellation. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Have faith. Definitely treat yourself. Okay? But don't treat yourself so hard that you end up cheating yourself, okay? And make sure that you're being generous, okay? As this card says, it's a time to give rather than take. So Spirit is saying that if you are dealing with that anxiety and those feelings of paranoia surrounding losing something or things, people, rights as a result of this election, try to counteract that energy by being generous with something. Give somebody some money, donate something or something, give some clothes, recycle some cans, give some offerings back to Mother Earth, do something to treat the soil in a holistic, high vibrational manner. Do something generous, do a good deed to counteract that paranoia of losing. And that will also help to ground you and will also help to maintain and enhance your frequency of receiving, because blessings are on the way abundantly, and you want to make sure that you are on the right side of the track wholeheartedly and pure-heartedly. All right, so another part of spirits, gods, the universe, divine realm, all of them, another part of their intent for, you can say, allowing this outcome to happen with the elections is continuing the message with this Five of Wands here, as it concerns lighting a fire under people's asses to fight for themselves, to stand up for themselves, to basically snap out of the imposter syndrome, and step into the being of what we really are and who we are supposed to be in the highest sense. And with that being said, demons will and are being exposed. Those who have been with the trickery, dickery, dot, faking the funk, they will be exposed as well, as we are exposed and emerged into our highest potential and our higher selves and our true selves, our multidimensional and dual empowered selves. We will effortlessly expose and co-collaborate with the divine realm to expose those who have been faking the funk in the worst of ways, spewing malice into the ether. And I'm hearing that this is also tying directly to a part of scripture from the Bible that concerns, I may not say it exactly as it is in the scripture, but it goes a bit like, we battle not flesh and blood, as in we battle not physicality like actual people, but the energy of good and evil. What we're actually battling is energy. It is actually a spiritual warfare, okay? So like was said before, a lot of people are having fears and anxieties about physical, like violent war. And spirit is saying no. That's the least of your concern. Again, humans be humaning. So, you know, things like that may happen and may always happen in certain areas of the world. There can and likely will be a reduction eventually, because like I said before, people are getting burnt out on that energy, right? Using that type of energy to fight. And that ties directly here, as it's a part of God's plan to be burnt out on that energy, to be burnt out on that, fighting physically and, fighting with fire and all of that, right? So, that being said, again, we battle not the flesh, but between the worlds of good and evil. And this will cause us to also have to face our own good and evil, specifically those that have not had experiences yet, that have forced them to face the truth about their good and their evil. That being said, what I'm picking up on, hearing and seeing, and also being tied into what is being spoken upon and channeled through and messaged as God's plan and intent for the outcome of this election, more people will start leaving cults. More people will start leaving different religions, churches, and different religious organizations and things of that nature. More people will start leaving large corporation jobs. More people will start leaving environments that function like slavery, like more so like slavery than any other aspect. I'm also hearing that more people will start to take their children out of schools and will start to homeschool them more. This is a rebellion. I'm hearing Cold War, but this is a type of spiritual warfare. And more people will start gardening. More people will start having their own farms and acquiring their own land and facilitating their own resources and learning the legalities about all of that. And also, I'm hearing challenging the legalities on all of that as well. More people will start to go a much more independent route, which will facilitate more of a village functioning. I'm hearing that more people will start to barter again. And this is going to take a lot of the stock and a lot of the dependence from the government. And this is going to shake shit the entire fuck up. But I'm hearing that the multitude of quote unquote regular people will feel no ways tied, will honestly start to feel an uprise in their circumstances, in their abundance, in their energy, in their health and wealth in more ways than one. While people who have been considered elite for a good while, those are the people who will start to feel pressure. Those are the people who will start to feel anxiety. And I'm hearing that a lot of rituals and black magic and things of that nature, if you will, that have been done to keep people oppressed, it's going to start backfiring. It's going to be a return to sender. It's going to start backfiring on them. And the scales will finally begin to balance more wholeheartedly. And all of that is also why we have this ancient shit is cool card here, because that's, elaborating that more people will start going back to basics. And the good part about that too is that most everybody has access to technology. So that will also help to enhance the circumstance. And with that said as well, more people will go back to holistic spirituality. And like I said, being more spiritual, going back to more ancient spiritualities. Voodoo, Santeria, practicing the more ancient forms of Hebrew and Christianity. And I can't put my finger on all of them right now, but from what I'm hearing and feeling and sensing and channeling, there will be a series of different ancient spiritualities that will be uprooted and reemerged into normalization in this society. And I'm feeling and sensing more encouraged individuality amongst community, such as people functioning as individuals, being as unique as they want to be, as long as they ain't hurting nobody, and blending and having friendships and collaborations and such with people of other cultures and different types of beliefs and different uniquenesses and things of that nature. a greater harmony in multidimensionality without so much chicken head mentality. And when I say chicken head mentality, I mean the mentality whereas just because someone or something is different from you or something that you never heard of, that you automatically think is evil or you have to hate it or fight it or oppress it. So that type of mentality, from what I'm hearing and sensing and channeling, that type of mentality will start to lessen, and more of a harmonious mentality surrounding multidimensionality and the harmonization of that amongst communities and individuals will start to enhance. Ancient shit is cool. And that's what a lot of people are bound to learn. That is in God's plan. Last but not least, as we are answering the question and getting some answers from Spirit, God, the universe, whatever, what have you, as to why they allowed for the outcome of this year's presidential elections to be what they are. And this card is from the Ancient Geometrical Oracle, okay? Ancient shit is cool, and it's definitely a cool ass deck. And the cool ass card we got from that cool ass deck is Healing, and it came out in reverse. So before I get into the specificities of it, I'm going to read off the caption that it has, which says, the frequency of healing supports our intrinsic ability to restore our health and wholeness by consciously using the information that comes to us through our senses and harmonizing everything accordingly. Haha, there's that word again, harmonizing everything accordingly. Now, don't fret, because the reason why this card has came out in reverse is because this has more to do with imposter syndrome, snatching people out of survival mode, and also snatching people out of victim mentality, to get people more proactive in their own lives, more active in their own lives, and more empowered in their own lives. And again, with this will also come the exposure of people who truly are not trying to make positive change, who truly are agents of chaos and committed to being that, who are truly evil and committed to being that. Again, a major theme throughout this reading has been free will and the responsibility of it by way of choices. So just like happiness, peace, and a multitude of other things, healing is also a choice. And of course, when it comes to the emotional aspects of things, yes, certain situations, things can make us feel a way beyond our own will, but it doesn't take away our free will. Just because it's difficult to rise above a circumstance doesn't mean that it is impossible to rise above a circumstance. Okay? And that is going to become more apparent as well. And again, it's going to become more apparent who is simply not willing, who wants people to live for them, who wants people to be slaves for them, who wants people to just be vessels that they can leech off of. That clarity is about to come in so much stronger throughout us experiencing the results of this election. And let me be clear, if you're on a healing or health and wellness journey and all of that, this card being in reverse does not mean that you need to stop that or anything at all. That's not what that means at all. What it does mean is changing your mentality around it. And this part is not necessarily for everybody, because some people, you're being called to start a healing, health, and wellness journey. So you would call it that. But for others, it's time for you to stop calling it a healing journey and start calling it simply a health and wellness journey, because you need to give yourself credit for the fact that you have been on your healing journey for a while, and you have healed quite a bit. And there is proof in the pudding. There is proof in a lot of things, and you need to give yourself time to stop and smell the roses and really embrace that and give yourself that gratitude. And a part of that is to stop using the language that you are healing. Of course, as you go throughout life, there will be other things that may hurt you and this and that, but in this particular time, in this particular phase, for those of you that resonate with this message, you've been on a healing journey for specific things for a while. Spirit is saying that it's time for you to start calling it simply a health and wellness journey. Okay? God ain't through with you yet. So it's a health and wellness journey to maintain what you have gained. And if and when another time comes for another healing journey, that healing journey would be dedicated towards something else, not the quote unquote same old stuff that you've been on a healing journey for since you first started the concept of a healing journey. Okay? And so that's going to be that on that for this video and this section of the series of the 2024 election reading. And again, this was all encompassing the whys. ¿Por qué? Why, God? And for the next installment, we will focus on, will Mr. Man serve all 4 years of his term? And what will happen if he do? What will happen if he don't? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you could be one of the first to be back through these queenly qualities for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.